These are images from early 2015 onwards to now the 12th of March. So basically, I'm using the same technique, and this one caught me because it's got what appears a perfectly square opening. The object looks like a tower with openings on the side, and it's got that mushroom-shaped top there. So when I saw that, that was obviously on the North Pole. I'm in Sydney, so I'm not sure. I'll have to research what happens if I see a North Pole. Is that actually the South Pole that people see on the Northern Hemisphere? I'm not sure what happens. I'll have to research that. On the Northern Pole, when I look at it, that's where I see all the very large structures, like this one obviously was on the north. So here we go again. I've used a filter. So I'm using Olympus SP100, a EE camera, 50 optic. Now, the Olympus lens seems to be such a high grade that it gets perfect picture quality that I can zoom it up to 2000 on the back screen, LCD. There it is there again. You've got these perfect openings that I've seen in quite a few structures. And then I use a HTC camera. The reason I haven't done any other episodes, I had to put the HTC cameras in for repair. Their motherboards were very quick to break down because these are the basic cameras. That's a square opening there, but they only have the perfect autofocus touchscreen that I use in the dark, and also these perfect filters that just bring up these openings. Again, we see something that's a vertical opening. It's quite common, and then we've got two square ones on the side, and that a mushroom-shaped type of object. Two things come over there like little feet or whatever, or processors right there and there. They're hard to see. I just zoom it up. And then you got that perfect square. That's amazing. I don't think it's an accidental picture artifact because all the rest of the shapes are normal. So, and I've seen these square shapes before in things I've analyzed. So I think it's the real deal rather than an artifact image. An artifact could be a shape that's produced because of overlay or something like that. So that's obviously not it. Now this is a perfect filter one, and it shows up the dark openings. Look at that. That's amazing. There's a square there. There's two things coming over, and there's that structure. It was just, when I saw it, I thought, wow, there's something more to this. That's the original picture. It was right on the northern pole, as I see it from Sydney. And there it is there. It was just so unique. I think this was a 12th of March image. Now, when you enlarge it, enlarge it, enlarge it, enlarge it, it's still there. It's still pretty clear. There it is there, the square opening, the two things on the side, and what looks like a cylinder in the center with openings, and then that mushroom-shaped top on it. There's one other circular object there and all these tubes around, but they're not that clear. This is. This was the shot that I thought, wow, I've really got something on this picture. Look at that. There it is there. So there it is without the filters applied and auto enhance of the image. And that's where this camera comes in handy. I've got all the fingers at a fingertip in a dark room. It's perfect. We've got what looks like two beautiful spheres that are joined. But I couldn't get any clearer, so I'm using a filter there, but you just want that little bit more clarity, but that's the best you can do on those two. There they are again, using a filter. And this time when I use the filter, I see like two openings right there, one and there, right there. So these are pretty large structures, estimated a few kilometers high. They're not small things. There's one there that goes up and it's got a straight cylinder, a vertical pole attaching it or whatever, a vertical tube. Here's that structure and that square there at a different angle. So that's that square and that's that structure that changes shape, because here when I photographed it, it isn't going up anymore like a perfect mushroom. And let's have a closer look. Oh, so that's what I see there. That's the object there in that square one. Those two what look like little openings there. So it seems to be like a huge object that just opens up and pops out. And I've seen these images before from one other amateur telescope. They look like huge mushrooms that inflate. There it is there. That's the same object. And it's got openings there on the top now. And it's got all these processes on the side. It looks organic. It just, I don't think that's camera blur. Okay, this was a a magical shot because it just shows so clearly a structure with layers or roofs on it that drop step by step. You got nice color camouflage, looks like a landscape, but you got quite a few right angles there, and it just looks like a roof on an object, and there's openings on the side. You see those openings there. It's very organic, like all the structures that I think resemble dwellings, and this would be probably half a kilometre high, or maybe even a kilometre. They look organic. They look like a shell on top, a bright reflective shell-like substance, wasp nests, all sorts of strange entrances. So there it is there. It was on the Terminator line. And I always get the best images, of course, on this Terminator line because that's the area that's right in front of the sunlit area. Behind is a shadow area. And that's where I get perfect contrast and resolution. That's as close as I can get that. And you just see the structures and you think, well, what is it? And you just don't know. You keep scratching your head thinking, well, there's too many things here that look like it's intelligent design, camouflage from any aliens flying overhead, obviously. Everything is highly camouflaged that I've seen on the moon. If they are actually intelligent design. Especially that object there, you see those openings on the side. This looks more organic. And there's that object with the round black aperture there. Lovely picture. That one there. That's the same thing. That's using the color enhancement filter. There's that object on the side that seemed to have those arches there. You see there's perfectly flat on top, and it's got the openings or some sort of pillars on the side. I couldn't get any closer than that. That's as close as I can get that one. Sometimes I'm fortunate and I get very crystal clear pictures. And sometimes, here's something interesting. It's got on top, it looks natural, and it's got this nice tower on top with an opening right there. So I'm not sure if that can just pop up and retract the function of it, but it's attached obviously to the top of that object, and it's on that Terminator line there. Now on this one I've tried enhancement and it did work. I used there's quite a few filters there that just help me enhance the images of on the touchscreen phone, and then I can obviously even do screen capture on them. So there it is there again. There's the object coming up, the opening. There it is there. It comes from an opening in that object right there. Sometimes you can go in all the way, sometimes you can't. There it is there. That's a good enhancement because you can see it right there in the opening. So some of these filters actually show you the openings in contrast. There it is there. That round opening right in the center of the object there. It looks like a huge, thick safety pin type of opening. There it is there. I don't think it's super enhanced from behind it because it looks, you see the tube going right in that opening there on that structure rather than being superimposed from anything behind there. So in these images you have to be very careful that it's not superimposed creating images or artifacts. There it is there. That's a good one. That's a black and white filter that just seemed to do the job there. And there it is there. It's perfect. There it is again. And that's probably the original picture. That's where I had to do some work on that one. Okay, this is interesting because you've got that sort of square opening, the angular opening there. Now, it's very common to see the horizontal slits like windows on going sideways. That's nearly native. You know, in 3/4 of the cases you'll see something like that. That's the color filter there. Okay, this was good. This was on top again. And this is where you see that object coming up like a tube. And again, that perfectly horizontal slit there. It's like a ventilation shaft, or I don't know what it is, but there it is there. That's a few kilometers high, could be even 5 to 10. I did a scale once of an object that I saw that was filmed by an amateur telescope person on YouTube, Pelon Cito, P-E-L-O-N, then C-I-T-O, just put it on YouTube, and he filmed an object that was like a V-shaped platform. It had a base to it and tubes coming down the side, and I estimate that to be 50 kilometers high. using the scale of the rest of the moon, and the moon is 3,500 kilometers wide. I then place the whole diameter of the moon on the screen. I measured it just with normal a measuring tape and just did a rough scale. So I'm using very primitive tools in what I do. And I checked it again. That was 50 kilometers high. So this could be 10 kilometers, 20. I mean, these are, that one there is a very massive object, and it's got the opening there. And obviously it was right there. There's a few openings there, but there's an opening there. They're very openings there. They're very camouflaged openings. Yet that's not camouflage. You can see that from really far away. So that really hasn't created camouflage, but it's got a nice white color to it that matches the rest of the surface. It looks like a crystal, actually. This was a zoom from the northern poles, and you see the object there and the rounded top, that sphere there, and that object there. So I've had to apply filters for that one, which you'll see shortly. It was just unusual the way they were shaped, so I decided to have a closer zoom of it. Yeah, and my curiosity paid off. Very unusual shapes. It's a very extreme crimson contrast. Black and white does the job here very well. So that looks more like a V shape. Then it goes down, and there's not that clear. I'm not that happy. Now this is interesting. This is right on the northern pole. It's got those openings or pillars down the bottom, and I've seen this structure before at a different angle. So it's quite good to see it now. I use a contrast on that one. Now there it is there. It's right on the terminator line pole. See it there? And there it is. There it is there. There are the openings. This is interesting because we've got that a mushroom shape there in the tower, and what looks like a square opening on that side, and these are openings or arches there as well. There it is there with filter applied. You see that rounded object there. They just don't look like rocks. That's why I concentrate on those. That's interesting. That looks more natural, but then you've got those pillars on the side. It reminds me of those Lebanese cakes, the little circular ones. There you've got the object there. There's the object there. That's interesting because it's got the vertical opening on the side. You got those openings there as well. That's with a filter applied. These look more natural shapes. That's interesting because it's got that very bright pink object there with two openings on the side. I just found that fascinating right there. I've seen that shape before. So these are large objects, probably about 5 kilometers tall. They're not small by any standard. That's a good clear one. You see it right there. It's amazing, that pink shape. That's interesting because it looks camouflaged, but when you look closer, it's got those openings on the side. And it goes up. Interesting object. You've got the openings on the side and quite a few reflection of colours. That one goes up and it rolls around. Then it's got openings on the side there, and it looks like it's trying to be camouflaged white as the surrounding area, but the way it goes up is fascinating. Like a wave shape, three-dimensional wave. There it is there, and there are the side openings in that structure. Now either it's a perfect camouflage, or it's one of these bizarre unnatural formations up there that who knows how it's built. I mean formed. That's spectacular as well, that one. It's like a crystal. totally clear crystal, sort of insect-like. They always have those little openings in them on the side. That's why I was very curious that I always see that repetition happening. There's that object on the crater and that round sphere there. Can't get that one clearer. Now that's that circular object we saw, looks like a wave there. But then we got those right angles popping up and those openings on the side there. Totally unique. Look at that. Look at that shape there. It just, every time you see something new like this, you think, wow, I haven't seen this before. Spectacular, isn't it? So I've used a very high contrast on that one. It's brought up this one, but it's blurred out these ones. I've seen this shape before. It's got the flat area in the front, the openings there. There it is there again. This is interesting. It's right up on the terminator line because you've got things here look like they're shell formations, straight lines, domes, surrounded by these unnatural type of vegetation looking things, or flora there. Look at that, and that's got specific openings. It just looks intelligent design. It just doesn't look like rocks. Look at that. Here we go. That's a good capture there. See how the arch goes up there? Then you've got the dome, and it just keeps looking spectacular. There's an object we saw before, I think, in that square opening. It just looks like a blob, big jelly organic blob with the openings on top. Okay, this was special. This was right on the edge, and it looks insect-like with that tube coming over there and there. It's pretty big, probably about 500 meters to a kilometer. I mean, they're not small objects, but they look very organic, very artificially produced type of whatever they are. I don't know what they are. So that was spectacular. There it is there. It was caught right up on the edge. It seemed to be coming over. I've captured a few things like that, but I've never captured that process coming down and that one there that are coming directly from that. And they're very good camouflage colors, light brown and white. Spectacular. I applied the filter on this. And again, this is all using a 50 optic lens. There's that one. I'm not using a telescope. All the images I've seen using a telescope can't get into the precise clarity that I'm getting, because I think the actual light in here, we've got another of these weird things that just pop up and I haven't seen before. So again, it's right on the top there where we catch the perfect color. Again, I'm using 50 optic lens, as I was saying before. I don't use a telescope. It seems I can't do it that clear because of the light is reflected inside the telescope. It looks square, but it's got these square openings as well on there. So I'm using high contrast on that one. Bit of white on the front, and then the back looks crimson, purplish type color. Very clear opening there. There it is again. So I'm not using a telescope. I'm using a very simple 50 optic lens. I'm using it at night time, and I'm using it from a very good quality lens maker, Olympus, which uses very high grade microscopic lenses, and I think that's why they've kept their quality up on the opposite scale of what I use it for. I've compared it to the Canon 60 optic, and it's much clearer on finer detail, the Olympus. I couldn't get this sort of quality with the Canon object there. So, and the HTC camera phone, HTC Desire, here we've got some images there. Look very organic. That one's unusual because it's got a base around it too. See that a base there at right angles, and then it goes up. So the HTC phone is a basic model. It's got the touchscreen autofocus. In a dark room, I can apply all the filters after I produce the images, I lay on the lounge and just quickly look at all these things and enhance them. And just quickly plug the phone on a laptop computer, put it here on Windows, Photo, whatever it is, Windows Photo Viewer, and Bob's your uncle. I'm getting great images. I think that's just the color from the reflection there. Okay, here we got something interesting. I've seen this structure before. It's very flat. Seeing there are pillars there, and you've got these organic type objects or shiny objects, circular cylinder around it. There. So I'm not using what the typical moon observers use, which is just a normal Olympus lens. I mean, I'm not using a telescope. I'm just using a normal Olympus. And the other benefit is got a BSI sensor used in the dark, enhances it by 30-40% the image, especially in a darker pictures. And this is what this is actually. It's in the dark. So that's why it's getting this enhancement. So that's the areas I'm looking at. That's the data. There's that sort of square-like structure of the objects on the side. And it's got 900,000 dots on the rear LCD viewfinder. So that helps me again, where I'm hitting 2000 zoom on the back, full enlargement, that I'm getting such good clarity as well. So it keeps all the components, the front, the back, then the HTC phone, which is 5 megapixels, just brings in this fantastic quality. And here we got these openings or slits horizontal, which is very common. There's the side view. So it looks, these things look organic, like wasp nest type structures, insect-like. Again, are they a natural, or there we got the horizontal slits right there. See all the openings there? They're square openings on this one. If I zoom in now more, you'll see it's just been sliced down the bottom. We've got all these square openings on the side. There it is there, horizontal openings right there. Here we've got the bizarre pink type of object on the side there. There it is there. It's pinkish type, it looks organic, shiny. And there it is, just sitting there. We've seen these type of objects before in the openings there. This is interesting. I'm just catching that right on the line, on the edge of the moon. This is interesting too. We've got this what looks like a tower and openings on the side, a dome there, and what looks like cliffs. And a round sphere and a tower there, and some openings there. Interesting, because we've got that horizontal openings on the side going that way. Openings there. Again, horizontal opening right there. Interesting, because we've got a structure that goes straight down there. Now this is interesting because you've got all these openings on the side, look like dwellings. I hate to use that word dwellings, but can you see how that looks very well camouflaged? You've got the horizontal openings there, the rounded ones there, and these are very similar to the ones I analysed in Apollo 11 film. It looked very grey until I used high zoom and found all these similar structures. And there it is there, that's camouflaged. You've got openings, it's brown. There you've got the side openings. So if it was seen in Apollo 11 film, in a late, obviously late 60s, and was there already. It just seems it's alien. It's not human built. I mean, humans could have built this to camouflage it, in these years, but not in the late 60s. I can't just think they built things then, or had the capability to do that in secret and yet fly over it, then have to censor all these things. In the film that I analysed, all the larger objects were censored. So the film was touched, and I zoomed in on the really small stuff like this stuff. There is there. Here we go again. We've got all these openings to it. There, those shapes. That's a square one there. Again. It's a good contrast because it brings up all the openings there. There's that perfect square one there and the other ones. And all the shapes always look to be cliff-like mountain openings and dwellings. And I was just thrilled when I saw these new ones, so I had to quickly post all this now. It's just thrilling when you look at it. There's that opening there. It's a perfect square opening, rectangular. Here we got these bizarre side openings that I zoomed in. That's from the other picture. It's horizontal and then rounded. Horizontal, rounded. Nothing special I can say, but just very strange shapes. All shiny always. This is interesting because you've got looks like tubes coming through there, and this vertical one going across. Too red. I use contrast on it to bring it up, and they just look like tubes. That's interesting. Seems to have processes coming down. The top's very shiny. That's a towering object with rectangular openings on the side, and that tower type object there. I think I used the filter on this one. Again, were they intelligent design? Quite a few of these shapes are bizarre. Look at that. When you look down there, you've got that tube hanging out, then you've got that shape, then it goes up sideways, all sorts of angles. Not one shape I've ever seen repeated. Look at those openings there. They look spooky, don't they? I'll apply the filter on that one. This looks pinky organic type structure. Look at that. And there's one process coming down into that slot. It's very common. Now this one's unusual. There's three objects there. There's that one with the opening. There's that one that goes up. I've enhanced it later. That blue, beautiful blue one. And one looks like it's floating on top now. There doesn't look anything supports it, so it looks like it's floating. There's one more common shape. Very shiny. All the openings on the side. This is unusual. You've got two rectangular openings and this just comes out of it right there. Looks like it's a horizontal opening there, sorry, in the surrounding rock. So basically, there it is. Okay, this one is really special because you'll see precise tubular looking shapes being supported by vertical tubes, those horizontal openings that I've always seen. It's a nice white, a yellowish color at high zoom, and it just looks, that one is really looking like it's intelligent design. Tubes, towers, everything. Look at that. Just have a look at that, will you? When I saw that, I was just floored. Look at that. Sit back in a dark room about 1.5 meters away from the screen and just look at that structure. The openings, the vertical shapes, the supports on it. There it is there, where I caught it. Now I've kept all these on the SIM card or on the actual camera and memory sticks. I haven't deleted any because they're just spectacular. But I've used a very cheap and primitive way to enlarge it. I can't do it any. I don't have a film studio or a darkroom. It's only a hobby at the moment. Look at that. Just look at that. And what you see is little square pixels from the screen, obviously. But just sit back and just have a think of what that is. Wow. If this is alien designed, I'm just stumped, because I'm just trying to picture what aliens would build this, what they look like, how do they fly, what do they eat, do they observe us on Earth and fly above us? My God, look at that. It could be a natural formation, but just the shapes I've seen and the patterns, just I don't think it's a natural formation. And I wish it was, because then it begs the question: if it's not natural, well, who built it? How long has it been there for? Human inhabited, if they're older structures that have been left empty, top secret stuff. I don't know. Just look at that. That blows you away. So I'm trying quite a few filters on that to really get into that. It's just too good. Whatever it is, it's like, wow. Look at those shapes. This was interesting. Got a blue sort of object that jumps at you. Screen white, a little bit of green reflection. Not sure what to think about that one. Here's one other object there, obviously, which is running across openings of vertical sections to it. Nothing special here, but that interesting shape there. What looks like a dome there. Those openings there. This is interesting because I've seen these things before, and again we've got that horizontal opening right there. Looks very natural, and then all of a sudden you're surprised to see a perfect horizontal slit running across. Here's an object again caught on one of the picture, what colour enhanced. You've got the towers propping it up, goes sideways, and these spheres on the side. That was a great capture, so I'm trying to use a contrast there to just show you what's there. That's a really good one there. So the filters come in handy because it just highlights. This is a common one that I see. You've got the horizontal slits, and you've got these organic looking openings on the side of it. And it just, there it is. You don't know what to think of it. That's an interesting one there. For all the openings in it. Very shiny, bright, reflective. Look at those colours. Openings there. Little openings on the side. Those pillars on the side as well. This object I've analysed a few times before. Interesting object there. This is good because it just shows you all the nice flowing curves and all the openings there, like two arches there. That square, nice wavy patterns, all looking very unique. Every structure here is unique. There is there, got a pillar right down the middle. There's an arch that goes up. You've got these very tiny openings on the side here. That is spectacular, isn't it? Look at that shape. This looks more natural-like, but still hidden. You see the pillars, the openings down the bottom. There's a square one there. Lovely shapes on that one. Every time I do this, I just think, wow, what will I find next? It's like a hunting trip. You're the first person in the world that potentially has found something that no one else has seen before. In full colour. Look at that. Straight lines, openings, and yet very well camouflaged, whatever it is. Here we go. Something's there, isn't there? It's there. We've got the openings, two little ones there and a bigger one there, and it blends into the surface. It's like the cave dwellings I've seen on Earth, the ones on Mars. Look at that. Can't do much with that picture anymore. That one, that one. Horizontal slits on the side. Sometimes I get really clear pictures like this one. Look at that. With that opening there, and what looks like a pillar in there, two openings on the side, an opening there. Very insect-like. Again, it reminds you of insect colonies producing wasp nests. And the rumor was the aliens that landed Area 51 were insect-like. So I'm just thinking, well, everything I see is that sort of type of natural construction. Look at that. You see the openings right there. This one's unusual. It's got a platform and this beautiful round organic looking object there with a shadow, so it's raised, and that tube that goes down from the side. Look at that. See that little tube on the side? And the shadow underneath that it's raised. Look, look, look. That's the original color there. They're like works of art, these pictures. You think, wow, you wouldn't ever dream of producing things like this in a film studio or an art studio. So it's very abstract. And the whole, that's, I mean, just look at that. Just, it's a perfect line running down the side. Got these openings, and then the top is nice and natural looking. And oops, look what I see there. There's a pillar and openings there as well. Very discrete type of openings that blend into the landscape. There it is there again, and I see some up further. Wow, look at that. Again. This is interesting because we've got a rounded opening and those tubes going on the side there. And it's raised. So from the top they'll blend in, but from the side, like eye catch, you see the openings on the side. See the openings there as well. Wow, I just can't stop. Look at some of these things, they're spectacular. I don't know what that is, it just looks like, look at that. Tubes and all these beautiful colours. Now this was special. Look at that. Common, the pillar, the opening on the side, the openings on the side there. I've had to use a filter on this in other pictures to try to bring it up. This was caught. I haven't seen this before. Wow, look at that. See what I'm saying? There. Very a natural looking, deceptively camouflaged, yet looking as though it's openings on the side. Everything's fine, but then you see those little openings and pillars on the side. So again, I was surprised at the things I caught again, which I haven't seen before. Must be the angle, the timing. There it is there again, the openings on the side. Some are crystal clear pictures, some could do a bit more, but if you're holding a camera against a wall and just taking snapshots and walk back into your lounge room and process it, it's not bad. Look at that. That looks so organic-like, nest-like, wasp-like, camouflaged, insect-like. Wax-like. Okay, look at that. Perfectly straight, right angle, and then you've got that object there. That one caught my eye, so I had to use a filter on that one. And I did actually do high zoom on that. Now here we see beautiful little arches there as well. Looks like a tent. See if I can bring that up. There it is. Beautiful. Here we've got these openings there. Beautiful structures there. And that straight line. Okay, this one was the one that I love because it shows an object going up there. Openings again. Openings on the side there. And that wonderful shape there that just doesn't look unnatural at all. It's a perfect right angle. It's like a wall or a connection. See it? I'll see how far I can zoom in on that. Perfect. There we go again. That was special. I haven't seen that before. So again, I'm just using very cheap equipment. The camera was $399. The HTC phone I had anyway, they're worth $200. And I'm getting up to 5,000, 6,000 magnification. It's a nice square opening there. I'm just using for free Windows for Photo Explorer. Obviously it came with the laptop. And I'm doing all this for cost of equipment $600. I haven't included a laptop. It's technique and perseverance of wow, what's there this time? That's spectacular. The openings, it looks very, very natural. Yet there's something there that look at that shape there, openings there that you think maybe it's got intelligent design to it to blend in. Okay, this one really struck me because we got those right angles. It looked like a roof, openings on the side, and perfect right angles, and it just looks like it's a roof of a building that's camouflaged, and it looks so natural unless you zoom in like I did and catch it. Look at that. Just look at that. Look at those little openings there. The right angles. You just feel like crying when you see something like that because you've caught it so good. It just looks like too many right angles, too many things that look like a dwelling that has a roof on it, camouflaged. Too many right. Okay. Here we got heaps of right angles. Have a good look at that. Look at that chunk out of there. These chunks. That opening. Those openings there. All those right angles and things like that just make this look like intelligent design. I try not to use that word because it implies there's a alien life form up there, but look at that. If it's human design, I'm in big trouble because I shouldn't be seeing this. Look at that. Look at those straight lines there. That's not that clear, but that is. Look at those openings there. There's that thing we photographed before. So it's like a huge crystal palace. Crystal City. Wow. That was that object before we analysed. That could be 10 kilometres high. There's that nice shape there. Doesn't look natural. The arms or side processes going off it. Here we've got those nice openings again on the side. Those nice spheres or tubes. Spheres, tubes. Okay, this is important because it's got a perfect right angle there and a pillar. Look at that. See that? It just doesn't. I don't see anything that produce that in nature. I could be wrong, but that one caught my eye. I haven't seen that before. See, I got the vertical opening there, like a window or ventilation area right there. Then you got those openings. There you see it a bit better, that slit going right in the middle. I used